hashtag readers, hashtag Soundcheck for the month of October, hashtag internet capitalism, hashtag...
By the way, you just ripped off a Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake hashtag viral, hashtag video, hashtag good job.
Hashtag enough of hashtags. Pritha, please talk about the cover story.
Actually, that was enough. And increasingly we are sounding like this. It's not funny, you know. It's completely a slice of dystopia that you guys just showed me. So, but that brings us also to the next cover, which is called Spinning the Web, Internet and Capitalism, a Sticky Story. So, you know, in so many of our previous issues, somehow eerily the themes of dystopia have crept in, have kept recurring. And by now, if we wouldn't have tackled the issue of the internet, it would have been like ignoring the elephant in the room. So this time we talk about internet and capitalism. And going back some time ago, you know, we had these wonderful media theorists like Noam Chomsky and his fellow media advocates who actually made us understand the functioning of the mainstream corporate media and how they completely controlled our environments and kept us like pigs in a pen. And but with the advent of the internet, you know, there was this real ray of hope of having a genuinely democratic medium where all of us could have our say, where the racially oppressed, the sexually oppressed, the gender oppressed, all kinds of oppressed people went out there. They hitherto unheard, unknown voices were suddenly being heard on this wonderful medium. But then somehow the logic of capitalism is never far away from us, and now suddenly this very, very democratic, equally well-shared space now belong to these big internet giants. And I spoke extensively to Professor Robert McChesney, who is this very big and very renowned media reform advocate in the US, and has authored many books, and his latest is called Digital Disconnect, which actually has deals with the issues of the internet. And he's in the course of the interview, he's told me that you know, almost 13 of the 30 largest companies in the US are these internet monopolies, are these internet companies, and who completely rule the US economy, and they are completely dictating all the policies related to media and communication, and especially in terms of digital media. And he gives a chilling account of the amount of the access of the amounts of information that these big internet monopolies have about us, and how we are willingly squandering all this information to them, and they are using this information in God knows what kind of ways to completely change the very fabric of our existence, and we can't even comprehend these ways. So this is a very, very important, chilling account which needs to be gone through. And no wonder, Shayan, you know, Google's unofficial motto is "Don't be evil," and I have serious doubts that they are, you know, sticking to it.
Absolutely. Since you talk about policies, and so that brings us to the very important topic of privacy.
Exactly.
You've done that infographic on Facebook, a very, very immediate concern.
Yes.
So talk about
This time we did this infographic, sort of asking this question like, how private is our data on Facebook? And with this new toy in town, sort of like the new Facebook graph search, we did some actual Facebook graph searches, and we sort of got hold of some huge numbers which were produced by some research studies and from other sources, and we could sort of get an answer to this very important question in today's date, like how secure is our data on Facebook. Say like 11% of Facebook's monthly users, which sort of amounts to 11 million, don't have an idea about Facebook's privacy settings. And if we look at the current privacy settings of Facebook, which were reshaped in 2010, all your data is accessible to the entire web.
And you don't even care enough to go out there
Exactly.
and change it.
Exactly. Like 12 million people only in the USA have been victims of account frauds or account thefts on Facebook. So these are really scary numbers, and the situation is getting scarier and scarier by the day.
The most scary thing is that we've been seduced by these big companies to willingly give away all our information to them. We don't even care.
Exactly. Like Abhimanyu talks about apps in his piece called The Apocalypse, and he gives this very important data that, for instance, Apple's App Store has over 900,000 apps, and Google Android Store has over 1 million. And you know, with so much of centralization of information, everybody has access to everything which you consider as private. For instance, whenever you go to any website, you often come across this notification called log in using Facebook, and you don't even think about it, and you immediately log in using Facebook, not realizing how many sponsored, how many advertising portals are actually diving into your.
Everybody needs your location data as well.
Everybody.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody wants your location.
And it's become a fad actually, that dining at this place, where
Exactly.
you use that Google map and you give your location. So that's at the end of the piece, Abhimanyu asks a very important question, that we've started expecting apps to do everything for us, from being an encyclopedia to being a counselor. So now the question is that if we call ourselves human being, then why have we stopped thinking? So that is his piece, and since we started off with hashtags, why don't we conclude the cover?
Yes, so we have Kohli Mitra's piece on the hashtag, and where it's a very interesting story on the hashtag, and which this little tool on the internet, this little pound sign, which originally started out as this extremely subversive tool. And she gives very interesting instances on how it was used to start off movements, in very, very radical ways. But now, with all of this happening, with all of what we've discussed, the hashtag also has been taken over, has been usurped, and now its only use perhaps remains as an indexing tool or as a spamming tool. But somehow it ends, and a series of cover story also ends at an optimistic note, which Ashwat's essay. And basically the whole idea is, yes, we are increasingly moving towards a dystopian world, but we still have space, we still have the time to completely topple this system, to reclaim what was originally ours, to use the hashtag as imaginatively, as radically as possible, to not use the apps as much as we are used to, and to basically reclaim this space. And so it's an important read, the cover story this time, and we have other stories outside of the cover story as well.
Yeah, for instance, in this month's photo essay section, we feature a very important work by this young photographer named Shantanu Bhattacharya. His series is titled Blow, where he juxtaposes X-ray plates which he has collated from different hospitals in Calcutta, and he juxtaposes them with a half-eaten rotten apple, sometimes with a toothbrush, sometimes with the insides of your mouth. And basically he's talking about how consumerism is wreaking havoc on our health, be it obesity, be it diabetes. And there's a very interesting play with shapes as well, so do go through that photo essay. Then there is the follow-up of Amit Sen Gupta's hugely popular piece that was published last month, which was X-ray of a fascist. That article on Narendra Modi, which received massive hits on our website, and our website crashed and mysteriously crashed, and we assume that it must have been the work of the Modi brigade. We are still speculating, of course. But Shubham's done a wonderful job. We've now have a brand new website, so which all of you should log into, and it's a wonderful browsing experience, much better than what we had before. Absolutely. So Amit Sen Gupta's piece is a kind of a sequel to last month's piece, because this month he talks about whether there is any viable opposition to Narendra Modi. And
absolutely, Shannon, I'm so amazed that in last so many of all my dinner party conversations have been completely plagued by Modi. It's been like this, become like a blood sport where I'm fighting this bunch of 10-15 people, who are telling me that why are you writing against Modi? Tell us, who is our alternative? Who do you want us to vote for? If you're speaking so vehemently against him, do you want us to vote for Sonia Gandhi? Who do you want us to vote for? Do you want us to vote for these jaded old men of the left? So I really don't have any answers to that, And of course, Amit's piece also talks about the alternative of the left, which somehow seems even more elusive at this point in time. So, but this is a very critical and a very difficult question, which all of us are struggling to give any answers to.
And then there are the regular stories in the music section, sports section. We have quite a few stories in the book section, Shubham.
Talking of books, Yoda Press comes out with this great anthology of graphic shots on the partition, which is aptly called This Side, That Side, Restoring Partition. And it interestingly has 47 writers and artists collaborating to bring out this great book. and some brilliant illustrations.
It's very
throughout
brilliant. It's
the
actually
book.
restoring partition.
Yeah, restoring,
Restoring
yeah.
partition. Yes.
So it's very brilliant.
So Arunava has reviewed that book for us, and so that's more or less the package for the month of October. As always, we look forward to your feedback, and as Pratha mentioned, that we have a brand new website. Do go through the website,
And
write to us.
Should we thank Shri Narendra Modi for
Oh,
actually speeding up the process of getting into the website?
Actually, yes. But new website, Narendra Modi, stay away.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.